All right, Fearless fam, Jade Hewitt is back on the pod for our newest series called Cool Careers in Sports. She's an amazing photographer who works exclusively in women's sports, most notably professional and international softball. In 2015, Jade's professional career began with the Dallas Charge, a first-year professional team that played within National Pro Fast Pitch. She then became the USA Softball official photographer and photographed Team USA Softball winning the silver medal at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Also in 2020, for the first time in Topps history, she became the official photographer for a Topps trading card deck that featured all professional female athletes and has continued to partner with Athletes Unlimited, featuring hundreds of Jade's photos on decks that feature softball, volleyball, and basketball. We're going to talk about that today, which is really cool. And currently, Jade is the director of photography for Athletes Unlimited and the Athletes Unlimited Softball League, or as we know it, the AUSL. Jade oversees the league and its 6 teams now spanning 6 cities across the country. Jade, welcome back to the pod.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm so pumped to be here. I have been looking forward to this ever since we talked about it and put it on my calendar. So thank you for having me back. Again, you've had like 100 episodes in between the first one and now. So congrats to you.
We have to bring it back and look at everything that has expanded and grown, and we're back in the Olympics. I mean, we could take today's conversation so many different ways. We could go towards the Olympics coming up in LA. I want to talk with you about AUSL. We have some cards to rip. For those of you that don't know, that's like the cool thing. You can rip decks of cards, rip open some Topps cards. And embarrassingly, I have a box from 2023 that I still haven't ripped some. So we can do some of those live if you're watching on YouTube. So let's back it up. Where the heck are you? What's the update? You told me before we hit record, what's on your to-do list for the next couple months?
Oh my gosh. Well, take roughly 1 million photos of professional softball. I actually just put in our group text yesterday or the day before that we're like 29 days out for reporting to training camp. So like I sent myself and everyone into a bit of a tailspin. But yeah, we're just doing all the prep work for season. I mean, a lot of people might not realize there's so much work in photography that's all done before you ever get on the plane to go where you're going to shoot. So right now we're just in the process of getting ready for season, getting our travel locked and loaded, and just generally getting super hyped to be out on a softball. I cannot wait to put my feet on dirt. I'm so excited.
Amazing. And so I guess a great question is we've interviewed you before, but the angle that I want to take today is to really inspire. You played softball, you're a sports enthusiast. You decided that this is your passion. Photography is something that you're really great at. You just happen to get to blend it with sports. And so the conversation today would really be geared towards, if you love your sport and you want to continue to stay involved in sport, maybe photography is that path. And then on the flip side of that coin, if you love photography and you're an athlete, this is a great way to merge the two passions. So take us through like a day in the life. Maybe we could fast forward to, 29 days out. What would a day in the life look like for you?
Well, right now, so I would, wake up, have a little bit of chocolate milk in the morning, first of all, get the day going. Pop open a little Celsius there. But then, so right now, as far as like not being in season, it's looking at our entire schedule and doing all of the prep work now that you don't want to be doing at midnight after a 7 o'clock game and you can't even think and you're so tired. So what that means is creating all of our metadata for all of our photos, all of our keywords, building our entire library for the summer so that myself and all the other shooters know exactly where they're going to be uploading photos, hiring freelancers, working with freelancers, getting all the freelancers prepped, working with my second shooter, Julia, who's unbelievable, and making sure that we're prepped for all of our shoots that we have coming up. Like we just had a meeting before I got on this call about a merchandise shoot that we're doing at training camp and getting together our mood boards and all that kind of stuff for all these different shoots. So right now is just all of the prep work to get us to season. If you were to fast forward to being actually in season, it's wake up, probably a little bit tired. Look at what you shot at the day before, start selecting those images you want to edit. And then we try to edit, within 24, 48 hours. not only for media purposes, but really for our athletes. Cause like, you know, they want to post what they're doing right now. And so a lot of our days are spent editing. I always take a little pregame nap. That's my little tradition. And then wake up, go to the field and, you know, rinse and repeat and do that process for, you know, every day for the next 3 months.
And let's talk about the work and the eye that it takes for editing. So if you're not following Jade on Instagram, one of the coolest things you do is you bring us behind the scenes of how are you capturing, how are you editing, how are you pulling out different elements of the photo. And so as I think about the general public, we just assume, hey, we snap some photos, we hand them over because we see how fast those get turned around,
Mhm.
even for college sports. And it's
Yeah.
like there's a whole process behind the scenes. So take us through that editing process. What does that look like? And as we have our listeners listening to this, who would be the type of person that would get excited about a job like this? What are some of those strengths that you have as a person that really make you feel like I love my job, I know I'm good at this, this is where I'm looking for I'm losing my words, but you have the
Yeah.
eye for it. It takes an
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah, no, that's a heck of a question. Yeah, so I guess kind of step one in that is having played, you know the game, right? So that really allows you uh to shoot and to anticipate, which anticipating is kind of like a lot of what we do. So I'm gonna set up for a shot out. You know, for a double play at second because I know the runner on first has some speed, so they're probably gonna try to get her out. And then I know maybe the girl batting maybe doesn't have that much speed, so we're probably looking at a double play situation here, right? So that kind of thing, you know, knowing the game. And then once you get into the edit, you remember, all right, it was the bottom of the second when that happened. I know I had a nice sequence. Let me go grab those few photos to flip in game, or maybe I'm editing the next day. And just kind of having a really good memory for what you're looking at and what you're shooting. You know, all the way down to the athlete's individual at bats, you know, knowing who hits what pitch well, what they might be sitting. You might hear someone in the dugout saying, I'm sitting, you know, I'm trying to go oppo. And so, you know, maybe I go to the other side of the field. So a lot of it is just kind of knowing the game. And then once we get into the editing process, that's really where a lot of time is spent. So the first thing you have to do is you have to take those 6,000 images that you shot during a game and you have to decide which ones that you want to actually edit. I like to do this right when I get home because at that point I'm still remembering everything. When I wake up the next morning, I feel like it all just kind of gets erased for a minute. So I'll sit down and in camera, I'll rate every image that I want to edit as 5 star. Then when I go to import into my onto my hard drive, I will filter by just 5 stars. So I just went from 6,000 photos to 450 photos, and now I'm working with those 450 photos.
How long
Whereas
does
for
that
like, sorry, go
like
ahead.
just that part alone, just that snippet?
Yeah.
How long do you think that takes you?
That could be anywhere. That's probably in the 2 hour range. And importing takes a decent amount of time. I am also a major, in my opinion, a major attribute that you need for this role is to be hyper organized. So when I'm importing, when I'm doing all of this work, a lot of it is doing it correctly and doing it in a way that's going to allow me to work efficiently. And so before I even open up Adobe Lightroom, which is what we edit in, I am completely ready. Everything is where it needs to be for me to get these photos out and get them out quickly. So I'd say the whole importing sifting process is probably, you know, 2 hours after the game when you're like pretty exhausted. That 2 hours can kind of feel like 6 hours sometimes. But once that process is over and you actually head into Lightroom, that's where kind of the fun begins. We usually will start every season with a preset that we make that says, this is how I want our photos generally to have this look. What I really enjoy at Athletes Unlimited is my look is very different than our other photographer, Julia. She has a completely different look, completely different energy, and that suits her and that suits Athletes Unlimited to have a diverse look. So I'm gonna put that preset on all of our photos, and then I'm gonna start at photo number one and just work our way through. You know, softball is an outdoor sport, so your second batter of the inning might be in a completely different lighting setup
Mm.
than the fifth batter of the inning, and so each photo requires attention and attention to detail, and you know, making each photo as the best that it can. And so the editing process is really where you just kind of get into a groove and just go until you're done, you know?
Yeah. But that's the magic of what I'm hearing you say is like, this is my stamp. This is my signature creativity coming through as an artist. It is you
Yeah,
are part of the creatives. And to see the players post your images and support you on socials, it is such an elevation of their role as a professional
of
player and
course.
your role as the photographer. So it's this beautiful symphony of
Yeah,
professionals doing their job and you're elevating their job, and that's where the magic happens, is the editing. And so for those that are listening, like, please hear, this is such a cool job, but it's not just take a few clicks, show up, and the job is
yeah.
done.
I
So
mean, we
what's your,
have the best athletes on the planet, and I will
yeah,
say that every single day. And part of the joy and the fun in the job is some athletes like Tori Vidalis, who I've worked with for going on 10 years now, and I know how to shoot Tori. I love shooting Tori. I know how I can shoot her that leans in her personality, and I know how I can shoot Tori that would maybe pull her out of her comfort zone a little bit, which Tori Vidalis doesn't really have a comfort zone, so maybe I picked the wrong athlete. But then for example, like we just did MLB first pitches with Bella Dayton and Mary Iacopo, and I knew them, but I didn't really know them really well, and I got to spend some time with them and get to know them a little bit. So that informs how comfortable they are and just our rapport together and our relationship together. And as you build that up year over year, that's where the real magic happens, when you kind of get in that nice pocket of having a good relationship with the athletes.
and that was my next question is that your
Oh,
is that your
sorry.
favorite part of the job? Like how would you describe, what are the favorite parts of your job?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that's probably one of the top things is really that trust with the athletes, and I hope at the end of the day that they know that they are my number one priority, whether I'm shooting Sierra Romero or maybe she's in a crowded space and I'm just trying to keep an eye out and make sure that she's safe or something. Like the athletes are the reason that I have this career, and the athletes they always say yes. I don't know how many times, I could probably count on one hand how many times an athlete has said no, and it's probably for like a valid reason, like, hey, do you want to go take pictures? And they're like, I can't, I'm in my Normatec right now. Like that's totally valid, like I totally get it. But they just always say yes, and I'll look at them and go, hey, you want to go take pics? And they're like, sure. And when you have that kind of comfortability, the athletes being willing and always saying yes is like the greatest part about what I get to do. And yeah, they are the reason that I've gotten to do well in this field and have a lot of fun. So I'd say that's probably one of my favorite parts about this job. The other one is like you go to an autograph line and there's like a 10-year-old holding your photo up to get autographed, and you're like, I should just retire. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
get better than that, you know?
So awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, and getting to see it. I would love to talk about the tops cards because that's kind of a glamorous side of the job too. Of just today, and we can laugh about this, but just today, I went to go get a coffee knowing that I had this podcast with you, and there was a card shop in the strip mall. I had never paid attention.
It's
There's
so easy to get lost in those things. Like you walk in and
oh
it's
my
like an
gosh,
hour and you're like, I don't know where I've been.
it was so cool. Well, it was really cute. The guy asked and he said, "Hey, what are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, you probably, don't know what I'm talking about, but if you do, you're going to know right away." And I asked for the AUSL card decks and he said,
Mhm.
"No, I know for sure that we don't carry it. But I will say that we are Nebraska nuts here." And so he did have a couple of the volleyball players
Oh,
who
very
were
cool.
former Husker athletes, but I have this box from 2023. I
Oh
remember when we
man.
recorded the first episode, which your first episode was probably 2023.
It
I'm
was.
guessing.
Yep, I checked
There
before
you
we
go.
came on. It was 2023.
So I still have 2 packs left.
Oh
Want to rip them?
man. I think we should absolutely rip them.
I think that I could pull out so many others. Let's rip them. And you have
Let's do
some
it.
cards too that you wanted to show.
Yeah, I on the verge of sounding super nerdy, but I have so over the years and getting to like do tops cards and stuff, I have like binders and like all the parallels and special edition, all that kind of stuff. But I had never sent cards off to get PSA graded, which is like a whole, other sub thing into trading cards like
But what
Pokemon,
does
all
that
that kind of.
mean?
So you send it off to PSA and they're like the official company that authenticates and grades
Uh-huh.
like a lot of cards, but I think they might do items like baseballs and like stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. but you send it off and then they do like all these inspections on it. And then they put it in what's called a slab and they grade it 1 through 10, with 10 being it's a perfect mint card. So I sent 5 cards off at the end of last year. It takes 4 months. I got them back right before Christmas.
Oh
And
my
these
gosh.
are officially graded. I feel like such a kid right now.
Yes.
Officially graded cards. These are both tens, so they're perfectly minted cards. But there's like a QR code you can scan to get more info about the card, and it has, kind of like the information up here and stuff. So
That
I
is
did 5
so
in
awesome.
total. I gave 3 away. One to my dad on Christmas morning and stuff like that. But I'm like so proud of these. Like it's so nerdy, but I can't help it. I think it's super cool. So yeah, some gym mint cards here.
And what makes that even more special is you're the photographer. Like that is literally
Yeah,
your
yeah,
work, which is so cool. Congrats.
yeah. It's unreal.
I for those that aren't able to watch on YouTube, what are the pictures you just showed us? Do you know about them?
Well, this was from the opening day of AUSL. So like, the
Yeah.
I think about it and I'm like, how many times could you be at the opening day of like the NFL or the MLB, and like they didn't know it, but like we know it. Like it's a big historical moment. So this is some of our legends with our Commissioner Kimming. I mean, these are like the legends. This is,
Yeah. I see Jenny Finch, Natasha
yeah,
Watley,
yeah, and Jess Mendoza.
Jessica Mendoza. Yeah.
It's the goats.
Yeah.
And then this is Tori's home run at championships, which I consider probably one of the best pictures I've ever taken. And it's a bonus because it's with Tori, who's just like one of the
And it
greatest.
shows her personality in a
Yeah,
really
yeah,
awesome moment, which is so
yeah.
cool.
Super cool.
So amazing.
So
This is
who did you get? Who are in those
okay.
packs?
So we got some lacrosse in here.
Okay.
I see some softballs. Let's pull out
Okay.
the softball. All right, let's
Okay.
see how fast I can. All right, Daniel O'Toole.
Oh man,
How cute is
golly, her
that?
in that blue
And
uniform with those eyes.
oh, look at that. Samu.
Get out,
All right,
Samantha
we're gonna have to tag
Fisher. That's a good one right there.
Rachel Garcia.
Oh God, the baby
These are
goat.
good ones. Do you remember? I mean, so if I say, if you look at these photos, do you remember? Does it take you back? Does it transport you to taking these?
I wish I have a really good memory when it comes to photos. Oh, Deja, God, everyone
Deja.
in the blues. I wish that I remembered each individual photo, but I would be lying if I told you that I did.
Are
But
they
like,
all yours?
yeah, those are all mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is my last pack to rip. Oop, they're upside down. All right. I think what's really cool about this that I've nerded out about is that my sister and I collected baseball cards growing up.
Okay.
But for us playing softball, there was no softball cards. It was
Yeah.
all baseball cards. And sure, like we know we're Rangers fans and Royals fans. And I think what makes this so special is for girls that didn't grow up collecting baseball cards, like this is their new normal. And that's how
100%.
it should be. Like you should be able to walk into a card store and be able to find, I mean, they had Caitlin Clark and they had some basketball and some really cool cards, but
Yeah.
representation matters and just
Yeah.
so cool. Oh, is it called a PEC or a PEC group?
The PEC, so that's Player Executive Committee.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's the volleyball one from that year. Yeah, we shot that in a ripped out Volkswagen Beetle in Dallas, Texas. Yeah.
that's
It's a good
awesome. Okay,
one.
this one only had two, but I see Jordan Roberts and Mia Davidson.
Ah, Jordan. Ah, Mia. Golly.
I know.
Man,
Wait,
so
isn't
fun to watch them.
Jordan came and spoke? Jordan's doing coffee for softball events, right? Is that the right
Yeah,
Jordan?
I don't know what is going on
Cup of
this year, but
Joe.
I know she's got her coffee business. And I tell you, one of my favorite moments, I've said this before, at Athletes Unlimited Softball was watching her catch Megan Faramo's no-hitter.
Cool.
As a former catcher, you never get the glory, and that's fine. But I remember that moment, them celebrating, and I remember I like made a beeline for Jordan because I was just like, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
thrilling. It's thrilling to watch, and it's just fun to watch someone like Jordan just absolutely dominate back there in a historical game. So that was a
Yeah.
fun moment. I remember that one.
So much history. I mean, we could spend the rest of the podcast episode, but I think it would be really cool is I'd love to get some signatures on these. We'll send them out to get some signatures and I'd
Oh
love
yeah.
our warrior girls to have these. But I think the really cool thing about all of this is I hope that in another 100 episodes, that we can be able to have different conversations of like, look how far
100%.
the sport has grown, even in just 3 years,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, we
So
had flashes last year, like the huge crowds in Texas and people waiting to get in the venue hours early and these really big autograph lines. And last summer was just kind of like a sit and enjoy it for a couple moments, like stop working, stop taking pictures. In Texas, I just sat in the dugout and listened. And I don't know if I had ever heard a crowd that loud at a pro softball game in 10 years. So yeah, it's fun looking at what's next, and what you hope is coming down the pipeline. That's what we're all working for.
yeah, so good. Well, I know we talked about your favorite parts of the job, but what are some of the non-glamorous parts of your job?
Oh man, we'll dive into that one. I would say with social media and whatever and whatnot, you're always looking at other people's work. I mean, I follow hundreds of photographers and sports teams. And I definitely think the insecurity can play at you a little bit, especially in our off season because you're not shooting, so you're not
Mm.
tapping into that creative side like you normally are. So usually kind of as we build up to softball, I'm like feeling a little like, I don't know, like am I doing a good job, And then you kind of take a breath and you're like, all right, and then you get into season and it gets better. But I think a lot of creatives go through a lot of people call it imposter syndrome or, just kind of that insecurity when, I'm looking at the Detroit Lions photographer who does absolutely phenomenal work and you're just kind of like, no, I'm not good at all. And then you're like, all right, I should be reasonable, logical here for a second.
Yeah.
So I would say that's not really fun dealing with that kind of thing. Um, and then I think too, being in this game for so long and working in pro softball for so long, if you're not paying attention, in my opinion, it can hurt you if you're not paying attention. So what I mean by that is I've shot hundreds of games at the ballpark at Rosemont, right? And if I'm not paying attention, I show up to the field like it's any other day, right? And I think when you lose that sense of adventure and creativity and that spark because you've been somewhere so many times or it's late in the season and you're on an autopilot because you haven't slept in a month, like I think when you're not paying attention, you don't thrive and you don't shoot the way necessarily that you would be if you had kind of that spark in you at that moment. So sometimes that's not fun, but after, being in this space, I would hope now that I do a better job at recognizing that to kind of like put some lighter fluid and kind of kick back into a better gear. But kind of the repetition sometimes in sports that are playing for 3 months straight can be tough to deal with at times.
Well, I love that these conversations that we've been having in careers are literally mirror situations from what our
Yeah.
athletes are facing. Because what you
Yeah.
just described was a failure reset or a routine reset
Hmm.
mechanism. And when you're dealing with comparison and trying to fight that imposter syndrome and that self talk, what are some of the reminders? What are some of those belief shifts that you pull out of your pocket to make those happen, make those shifts happen mentally?
Yeah, I guess the first thing I tell myself is I'm like, there are so many people that would kill to be here, right? Like an 8 o'clock Rosemont game on paper does not always strike you as like the most fun thing because it's late and it's probably cold and it's like a Tuesday and la la la. And then when I have those thoughts, I'm like, do you know how many people would genuinely love to be here, whether it's their job or it's not? Um, and that's also part of the fun of watching the growth of softball and the more we get exposed, the more that people watch us, we get messages constantly about people that want to be a part of it. And so I think reminding yourself every day to feel gratitude for where you are is probably the biggest thing. Another kind of more tangible thing is I have in my camera bag a sheet I make every season that has what I want to work on, like screenshots of other people's work that say, "Oh, this girl is really great at slow shutter, and I really want to be better at slow shutter." And so when I have those moments where I'm like, "What am I doing?" I'll pull out that sheet in my backpack and glance at it, and it will give me something hard and fast that I can set myself to work on and that I can put my attention to, and actively give me something to be better, right? Because no matter how many games you go to or Olympics or this or championships, we all can be better at what we do. And, that's a kind of fun pressure and an active pressure that you have to remember again when you're 2 months into season and you've eaten hot dogs every day. And, that would be terrible. I don't think I've ever had more than one hot dog in a month, but some people eat at the ballpark on staff, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. So yeah, I would say both a kind of mental reset of gratitude, but then also being prepared for that moment of, man, I'm kind of stuck right now. What do I do? And having something to pull you out of that, pretty quickly is, this just a tactic. And I encourage my second shooter to do the same thing. Hey, what do you want to work on? Let's print it, keep it in your bag. And if you get stuck, you have a roadmap of how to get better.
So cool. If you ever see any of our clients out in the wild, I call it ghetto laminating, where you take a sticky note. A lot of our clients will do this, where they have their 3 keys, their reminders, their mental reminders, and it's the psychology of a cheat sheet. So if
Mhm.
you ever remember writing your professor or a teacher saying, you can have a 3x5 note card for the test,
Yeah.
and we cram as much as we can into it. And then we get to the test and we're like, oh, I didn't even need it. Why
Yeah.
didn't we need it? Because
Right.
mentally, the cheat sheet was the cheat sheet. And so
100%.
having that go-to in your back pocket or in your camera bag is just literally the parallels, Jade. The
Yeah.
parallels of,
The
of mental.
parallels. We're killing it.
Let's go. So
I love
good.
it.
Well, so for those that maybe haven't listened to your first episode, and we want to kind of shine some light on this career, if somebody's interested in this, they're like, man, Jade, I'm with you. I want to follow in your footsteps. What would a piece of advice or career path? And I know that traditional careers might be changing in the next 5 to 10 years with all of the technology. Maybe that's a specific major, or maybe start picking up a camera. Like, what is your piece of advice for someone who's interested?
I would say this route because this is kind of the route that I was fortunate enough to take, but I would be find your passion and then adapt that. So if you're a phenomenal chef and you love cooking and you also love sports, go be a nutritionist, go be a chef, go work up in Rosemont catering meals. Like in my opinion, your passion is what's going to get you through this rather than what you might just be good at or what you kind of enjoy. So find that thing that fires you up. You could be a sports reporter, you could be a writer, you could be a camera op, you could be a photographer, you could be a GM, you could own a team, you could be our commissioner, Kim Ing, go find what sets you on fire. And if you want to work in sports, figure out how to make that how to adapt that to sports, right? If you're really into engineering, go work at one of the bat companies and go make bats. Or if you're really into apparel, then go work on our equipment team and our merchandise team. There's so many outlets for getting into this space. And I just think that if you lead with your passion first, then you really can't go wrong. Because one day, maybe in my life, I won't be in sports. Hopefully that day doesn't come. But one day I might not be in sports, but I will still be taking photos. Um, and I think if you can take that approach, then take it. Now, if you haven't maybe gotten your passion just yet, maybe you're like a college sophomore and you're like, I don't know, I'm flipping through majors or I'm trying to figure out what I want. That's totally fine. Do whatever you can to get your foot in the door, right? Like, oh, you want me to go stand at a gate and go make sure other people don't come in, but I get to be near the athletes and near the sport and near the environment and learn things and listen to things, then go get your foot in that way. There's just so much you can do in sports that's not coaching or not like the big number one or playing. My knee is so inflamed right now that it could bust a door open. So like obviously playing was not going to be the path for me as a D3 athlete. But we can all find our ways in and just lead with your passion and you really can't go wrong.
Mic drop. That's the best. And it gets you through the hard times. It gets you through,
Yes.
when you're describing some of these not so glamorous jobs, or even the fun parts of like it's long days and long nights. I don't feel like I'm working, and we trade a nine to
Yes.
five for a 24/7,
Yeah.
passion. And
Yeah.
so that's worth it.
When it doesn't feel like work, you're really blessed. And that's I try to remind myself of that daily. Like We just did an Adidas shoot in Rosemont the other weekend, and I'm literally sitting at home on a Tuesday. I think I probably had like Prisoner of Azkaban on my TV, and I'm editing softball photos of Bella Dayton and Adidas merch, and I'm like,
Yeah,
it's great. Like it's just it's fun. It's so fun, and it doesn't feel like work because you're having a blast while you're doing it. Which
I
sounds so
loved.
corny, but it's so true.
Well, and even the ripple effects of the photography and rolling out some of these new exciting announcements. I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled when everyone's voting on their favorite uniform.
Yeah.
Like, what's your favorite uniform? What's your favorite team? And it's like, this is literally from the top down what's getting people excited about professional softball. And with all of these puzzle pieces of the work that you're doing, this is literally growing our sport in such a cool way. So,
Yeah.
the biggest fangirl.
And it's been such a weird learning curve because when pro softball was smaller, I felt like I got to have my hand in every cookie jar. I got to go to every game and every shoot and every this. And now as we're like getting bigger, I feel like I can't be at everything, and that gives me like such anxiety. And it's a good thing for everybody involved, but like I want to be at all three opening days. And that's just not going to happen. So it's definitely, as we grow, it's been a learning opportunity for me as well on realizing you can't be at everything, but doing your best to make sure that it's all covered and that all of our shooters are getting stuff done. So yeah, right now I'm just in the zone of like I want to be at everything, and I can't. So I got to square with that before the season starts.
Yeah. Well, and you're the director. I think that also speaks to the growth of like you're literally orchestrating more than just yourself and the
Yeah,
growth. So
for sure.
hats off to you because it's really exciting. I
I
cannot
appreciate
wait for season.
I know, right? I'm looking at our schedule and I'm just like, I'm so geeked. I can't wait to see the fans. I can't wait to be in the new markets. I can't wait to go back to places to like Round Rock and up here at Rosemont and, give a nod to the loyal fans that have been here. And I think it's going to be an unbelievable summer. I think once we get going, there's no room to figure things out. Like once we get going, you're going and the train's not stopping. So you're either on it or you're not. And yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, all the way through July.
Yeah.
All the way through. Get
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
Well, any closing thoughts? We used to ask a really cool question at the end, but for lack of better inspiration, I just want to hand the mic over to you. Is there anything else that you want to say to, piece of advice or a nugget?
Yeah, I would say to everyone I mean, this really can apply to anybody, but especially maybe your middle school, junior high, kind of high school, college athletes out there. Like, it's cool to care about something. Like, it is so cool to find that thing that fires you up and to care about it and to learn and to grow and to find ways that's gonna benefit you in life, right? Like we've all seen the astronauts, like whether you're really into space or you're into snakes or you're into softball or you're into photography or you're into insert something here, like it is so cool to care about something. And if your friends aren't into it, that's cool. I hope your friends support you, but like find that thing that really interests you and just go at it. And don't worry about if it's cool or not. Like it's all cool. Your interests are cool. It's cool to care and it's cool to be passionate about something. I think my passion has gotten me to where I am because I care so deeply about what we're doing. So find that thing that you care about and just go at it 100 miles an hour. And if in 5 years you don't care about space anymore, great. Go find the next thing that you care about. And if you go to the moon like Christina Koch did in 20 years, then your 9-year-old self is going to be so proud of you. So it's cool to care, find what you like and just go for it. I
Amazing.
was not prepared. I don't know where that came from, just
TED
someplace
Talk.
deep, but
Sign
man,
her
I
up.
I
Jade needs
feel
a
it in
TED
my
Talk.
bones.
Such a great way to end the episode. Cool careers in sport. It's cool to care. Jade, thank you so much for your time today. This has been incredible.
Thank you so much because we need more women in sport that are coaching or giving back and using their talents for the betterment of not just softball but for women. And so thank you and hats off to you because 133 episodes or wherever you're at, that's a lot. It's a lot of time and commitment when it comes to committing to softball and to women. So back at you, my friend. This is
Okay.
amazing.
Episode 234. Here, mark
Yeah,
it.
go ahead and mark
Jade
me down.
Hewitt. All right. So good. Thanks, Jade.